New at 5, Catholics in Cincinnati and across southwest Ohio will soon welcome a new archbishop to lead their church. A ceremony and mass is going to be held at the Cathedral Basilica of St. Peter in Chains tomorrow. Our Mike Schell sat down with the Most Reverend Robert Casey earlier today and joins us live downtown with the latest. Mike.
57-year-old Robert Gerald Casey, who is currently Auxiliary Bishop of Chicago, is about to become the 10th Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. He graciously answered a wide range of questions, from his thoughts on the Catholic Church to his willingness to try Cincinnati-style chili. Archbishop-designate Robert Casey was here in February to introduce himself to Cincinnati, just days after he was selected to replace Archbishop Dennis Schnurr. The Most Reverend says he hasn't had time yet to think about his leadership role with the Archdiocese.
Since February 12th, I have been packing up my life in Chicago, concluding my work there, and coming down here. So it's been a whirlwind of trying to tie up all of my loose ends after a lifetime in Chicago.
The Most Reverend says he will let his faith be his guide to encourage disenfranchised Catholics to come back to Mass.
The church has to then get out into the street, into the communities, into our universities, and begin having conversations and encouraging people to come into a relationship with the church that they really have not been a part of.
In 2021, St. Ignatius pastor Jeff Drew pleaded guilty and is serving 7 years in prison for repeatedly raping an altar boy at St. Jude in the late 1980s and early 90s.
That is a sad truth of our past that we have to reconcile with. And so how do we as church assist our society in creating safe environments?
On some lighter subjects, I asked the Most Reverend Casey, who comes from the deep dish capital of Chicago, what he has heard about local delicacies, like Cincinnati-style chili.
I find it much easier to talk about Graeter's ice cream. Everybody agrees that Graeter's is wonderful ice cream. When I get into a conversation on chili, it gets a little more dicey.
And coming from a major sports town like Chicago, the new Archbishop says he is willing to adjust.
And so I know that I've got a lot to learn around being a Reds fan and a Bengals fan and who I root for in sports and what's the saying, who day. I've got a lot to learn.
The installation ceremony and Mass for the Most Reverend Robert Casey will begin tomorrow at 2 p.m. We will stream it live in its entirety on our Fox 19 Now digital platforms. Now, Archbishop Dennis Schnurr is still in rehabilitation for back surgery after he fell at his home on February 2nd, but he will attend the ceremony. Schnurr's responsibility is to pass the crozier or staff to Robert Casey, installing him as the next Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Cincinnati. Live downtown, Mike Schell, Fox 19 Now.